Did you know that Bach and Rachmaninoff wrote this piece together? Well, 200 years apart. Originally, this piece was a violin solo in a suite that Bach wrote, and Rachmaninoff took this wonderful theme and transcribed it as a piano piece. Today, I'm going to look at 5 ways that Rachmaninoff enhanced Bach's original Gavotte. So let's get started. Number 1, he followed Bach's melody precisely as it was written for violin. So you'll hear in the beginning this. That's what the violin plays in the Bach version. But what Rachmaninoff did is he added harmony underneath. We all know that Bach used harmonies on the violin too, but his harmonies were quite sparse. He might do a couple of notes. He might do something like that and something like that, but he wouldn't have filled it in the way that Rachmaninoff does it, this way. You'll notice too that what Rachmaninoff did is he took Bach's theme and he made his theme added underneath. Almost like a little fugue. Number 2, Rachmaninoff wasn't afraid of using 20th century harmonies. But don't get me wrong, Bach knew how to use harmonies that were developed 200 years later. He used some dissonances. He would do not that. He would play that chord on the violin. What Rachmaninoff did is he added more harmony. So you'll hear a lot of this back and forth between the voices that makes this piece sound like it was written in 1750. Point number 3, Rachmaninoff would sometimes bury the melody inside the lower lines of the piano. So here's an example of that. And what he writes in this section on the 3rd page of the piece, he writes, La melodia ben marcato, which means play out the melody with a really good tone, with a heavy touch. But he hides it in the left hand. So you'll hear that line underneath while the upper line is playing like an accompaniment. When Bach wrote it, he wrote exactly this. But with Rachmaninoff, we'd have... So he actually made the music richer. Number 4, Rachmaninoff used counterpoint. Now Bach was the genius at counterpoint with all the preludes and fugues that he wrote. But Rachmaninoff knew a few things too about using counterpoint. Listen to how the 2 voices between my hands are chasing each other, almost like a round or a fugue. Here's toward the end of the piece. So you'll hear that back and forth. So in a way, what Rachmaninoff was doing, he was copying Bach's style in a 20th century way. And number 5, Rachmaninoff knew how to use sonority. In the biggest part of the piece, the loudest part of the piece, Rachmaninoff almost copies the sound of Bach's organ playing by putting a bass line in that makes it richer and richer. Listen to this spot near the end that sounds like an organ piece. You can imagine Bach sitting at his organ, pulling out all the stops and trying to get all the richness in the sound. This is a type of playing in the piano that became very popular in the early 1900s, is to imitate the sound of the organ. Rachmaninoff knew how to do this because he was a wonderful pianist. So let's dive into this piece, this Gavotte in E major by Johann Sebastian Bach, but transcribed by Rachmaninoff. Thanks for watching today. We hope to see you next week.